Bible says Michael locked up fallen angels, but ancient Aramaic scrolls reveal a darker truth. He used their own evil to punish them eternally. Imagine a place where time never ends, and your worst sins hunt you relentlessly. That's what Michael created, and God allowed it. But why? And what if those angels found a way to escape? The consequences could be unimaginable. This story goes deeper than most realize, with hidden reasons that change everything we thought we knew about angels, punishment, and God's plan. Let's uncover the shocking truth together. Picture this, a time when angels walked among us. Not just any angels, we're talking about powerful beings who were supposed to watch over humanity. But something unexpected happened that would change everything. You see, these angels had one job, to guard and guide humans. But they got distracted, really distracted. They couldn't help but notice how beautiful human women were. Now, this wasn't part of God's plan at all. Angels falling in love with humans? That was a big no-no. But here's where it gets crazy. These angels didn't just admire from afar. They made a choice that would shake heaven itself. They left their posts, came down to earth, and followed their hearts. Can you imagine the scene? Mighty angels giving up their heavenly duties for love. Why didn't God stop this, you might ask? Well, that's the interesting part. God watched as these events unfolded, knowing something bigger was at play. These forbidden relationships weren't just breaking rules. They were about to create something terrifying. Enter the Nephilim. When angels and humans had children together, these weren't normal babies. No, they were giants. And when I say giants, I mean giants. They grew super fast, towering over everyone else. But their size wasn't the scariest part. It was their appetite. These Nephilim were always hungry. Always. At first, normal food was enough. But soon, they wanted more. And more. And more. It got so bad that they started eating everything in sight. Crops disappeared. Animals vanished. And then they turned to humans for food. People lived in fear. Imagine trying to protect your family from these enormous beings who saw you as their next meal. Humanity was suffering, and things were getting worse by the day. The Nephilim's hunger seemed endless, and their power grew stronger. This wasn't just a problem, it was a disaster. The very existence of these giants threatened to wipe out all life on Earth. The beautiful world God had created was turning into a nightmare. All because of one forbidden choice made by angels who should have known better. The sight of these massive beings roaming the earth, destroying everything in their path, was just the beginning. Nobody knew it yet, but this situation would lead to one of the biggest events in human history. The Nephilim's rampage would force God to make a decision that would change our world forever. And trust me, what happened next would make the Nephilim's creation look like child's play. But before we proceed to the next part of the video, let's remember Angel Michael for a moment. Comment down, Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. Earth turned into a nightmare as the Nephilim's hunger grew stronger each day. These giant beings weren't just eating to survive. They wanted everything, and I mean everything. Villages that were once full of life became ghost towns overnight. One day, you'd see a thriving community. The next day, nothing but empty houses and broken dreams. The Nephilim didn't just take food. They destroyed whole communities without leaving any trace. But food wasn't enough for these giants. Oh no, they wanted more. They started demanding that humans worship them like gods.
Bow down to us,
They'd command.
or we'll crush your homes and families.
People faced an impossible choice. Serve these monsters or watch everything they loved get destroyed. Some brave souls stood their ground. They wouldn't bow down to these false gods. In secret, they'd look up at the sky, tears streaming down their faces, begging God to save them.
Please, they'd whisper in the dark. Don't let us die like this.
Day after day, their prayers seemed to float into empty air. No answer came. The giants kept growing stronger, and people started wondering if God had turned his back on them. How could he let his creation suffer like this? Things got so bad that humans started running out of places to hide. The Nephilim would find them everywhere, in caves, in forests, even in the mountains. No place was safe anymore. It looked like the end was coming for everyone. But just when all hope seemed lost, something changed. Those prayers, they weren't falling on deaf ears after all. God had been listening the whole time. He saw his people suffering. He watched as these giants, these children of rebellious angels, turned his beautiful world into a place of fear and death. And God decided enough was enough. He wasn't going to sit back and watch anymore. He was about to step in, and when he did, the whole world would feel it. The Nephilim thought they were powerful. They were about to learn what real power looked like. A plan was forming in heaven, a plan that would change everything. The giants had no idea what was coming, but soon they'd learn that their reign of terror was about to end. In heaven's grand halls, a meeting like no other was taking place. God had called his most trusted archangels together. The situation on earth had gotten so bad that even heaven couldn't ignore it anymore. The archangels gathered around, each one burning with ideas about how to fix this mess. Michael, the warrior angel, stepped forward first. His voice boomed through the halls.
Let's end this now. Send me down with heaven's army. We'll destroy these giants before they eat another human.
But Gabriel wasn't so sure. He spoke softly but firmly.
Wait, remember? These Nephilim? They're still part angel. And the humans? They need hope, not more violence. Maybe we can save some of them.
His words made everyone think twice. Then Uriel came up with an interesting idea.
What if we test the humans first? See who's still good at heart. We can save the worthy ones and let the rest face their fate.
His suggestion hung in the air as the others considered it. Raphael, always the healer, shook his head.
The earth itself is suffering. These giants have poisoned the land, the water, everything. We need to heal our father's creation first.
He had a point. The damage went deeper than anyone realized. God listened to each one carefully. He saw truth in all their words. That's when he did something unexpected. Instead of picking just one plan, he decided to use them all.
Each of you will have a special job.
God announced.
Michael, you'll lead the fight against the giants. Gabriel, you'll bring messages of hope to the good humans. Uriel, you'll help find those worth saving. And Raphael, you'll help heal what the giants destroyed.
The archangels stood ready, their missions clear. But there was still one piece missing in God's plan. They needed someone on earth, someone human, to help them carry out this divine mission. Who should we choose? They wondered. Who among the humans is still pure enough, strong enough to help us save Earth? God smiled, because he already knew the answer. He had been watching one man and his family very carefully. This man's heart was different from the rest. He was exactly who they needed for the biggest rescue mission in history. In a world where evil seemed to win everywhere, God searched for someone, anyone, who still followed the right path. It wasn't easy. Most humans had either joined the Nephilim or were too scared to stand up to them. But then God found someone different, Noah. Noah wasn't like the others. While people around him fought for survival or gave in to the giants' demands, he kept his faith strong. Every morning, he'd talk to God. Every evening, he'd teach his family about doing what's right. But here's the thing, Noah wasn't perfect. He made mistakes just like everyone else. So why did God pick him? Well, it wasn't because Noah never did anything wrong. It was because when he did mess up, he'd admit it and try to do better. That's what made him special in God's eyes. One day, God gave Noah some pretty weird instructions. Build a massive boat, an ark. Make it big enough for your family and lots of animals. Now, imagine telling your neighbors you're building a huge boat when there isn't even a lake nearby. People thought Noah had lost his mind. They'd walk by his construction site pointing and laughing. Look at crazy old Noah, they'd say, building a boat in the middle of nowhere. Some days were harder than others. Sometimes Noah probably wondered if he was doing the right thing, but he kept building. Hammer by hammer, plank by plank. And while Noah worked on the archangels were busy too. Michael gathered animals from far and wide. Gabriel spread whispers of warning to anyone who would listen. Uriel watched for any other righteous souls, and Raphael prepared healing herbs for the journey. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Noah's hands got calloused, his back grew sore. But his faith never wavered. When people mocked him, he kept working. When the Nephilim threatened him, he kept building. Even when his own relatives called him crazy, he trusted God's plan. The ark slowly took shape, growing bigger than anything anyone had ever seen. It was like a wooden mountain rising from the ground. Noah's dedication proved God had chosen well. This wasn't just about building a boat. It was about trusting God even when things seemed impossible. But the hardest part was still coming. Soon, Noah would have to face something no human had ever seen before. The question wasn't just if he could build the ark anymore. It was if he could handle what would happen next. The sky turned dark as clouds gathered like never before. Then it started. Rain poured down harder than anyone had ever seen. But this wasn't just rain. The ground cracked open too, shooting water up from deep underground. The world was about to change forever. At first, the Nephilim laughed. They were giants after all. What harm could a little water do? But as the water kept rising, their laughter turned to fear. For the first time ever, these mighty beings realized they weren't so mighty after all. Noah and his family watched from the ark as the water covered everything. Houses disappeared. Trees vanished. Even mountains started going under. The world they knew was literally drowning before their eyes. Meanwhile, the archangels faced a tough choice about the fallen angels, the ones who started this whole mess by having children with humans. These angels were still their brothers, even if they'd broken heaven's rules. Should they destroy them completely or find another way? After much debate, they decided not to kill their fallen brothers. Instead, they bound them with powerful chains, locking them away where they couldn't cause more trouble. It wasn't an easy choice. These angels had caused so much pain. But sometimes, mercy is harder than punishment. The rain kept falling for 40 days and 40 nights. The floodwaters rose higher and higher until even the tallest Nephilim couldn't keep their heads above water. One by one, these giants who had terrorized humanity disappeared beneath the waves. When the waters finally started going down, the world looked completely different. The ark landed on top of a mountain, and slowly the water pulled back. But the earth wasn't the same anymore. The flood had changed everything. The land, the rivers, even the mountains looked different. Yes, the world was clean now. The Nephilim were gone. But this cleansing came at a huge price. So many lives had been lost. So much had been destroyed. As Noah and his family stepped onto dry land again, they faced a huge task. Starting over in this new world, God had given humanity a second chance. The question was, would they do better this time? Would they remember what happened to the world before the flood? Only time would tell if humans had learned their lesson. Rain clouds finally cleared away, showing a bright sky that no one had seen for months. Noah, his family, and all the animals stepped onto dry ground. The world felt strange and empty, like someone had erased everything they used to know. Noah looked around at his family's worried faces. They were alive, yes, but what now? The earth still smelled of wet mud. There were no houses, no farms, no other people, just emptiness stretching as far as they could see. That's when something amazing happened. God spoke to Noah again, but this time with a promise that would change everything.
I'm making a special agreement.
God said.
Not just with you, but with every living thing on earth.
God pointed to something beautiful in the sky, a rainbow. Its colors stretched across the heavens like a giant bridge.
See this rainbow? Every time you see one, remember my promise. I will never flood the whole earth again. This is my gift to you and every generation after you.
But this new start came with some rules. God told humans to spread across the earth, to have families, to take care of the animals and plants.
Be good caretakers of this world. Make it better than before.
The archangels got new jobs too. Michael became humanity's protector against evil. Gabriel kept bringing God's messages to special people. Uriel helped guide humans toward wisdom, while Raphael continued healing both people and nature. This wasn't just about starting over. It was about doing things better this time. God had bigger plans than anyone realized. He wanted humans to build, create, and grow. to fill the earth with good things instead of the terror that the Nephilim had spread. Noah's family began planting crops and building homes. Day by day, they started making this empty world feel alive again. God's rainbow promise gave them hope. Hope that they could create something beautiful from all this emptiness. But as they worked to rebuild, a question hung in the air. Would humans remember God's promise? Or would they forget and make the same mistakes that led to the flood in the first place? Years passed, and the world started looking normal again. Cities grew, people spread across the land, and life moved forward. But memories of the Nephilim didn't just disappear. Parents told their children stories about the giants who once ruled the earth. Some of these tales seemed too wild to be true. Giants who could move mountains, beings who ate entire villages. Many thought these were just scary stories to keep kids behaving. But others wondered if there was more truth to these tales than most people wanted to believe. Then strange things started showing up. Farmers digging in their fields found huge bones. Explorers discovered ancient cave paintings showing massive figures towering over humans. Some people even claimed they'd found old tools and weapons too big for any normal person to use. The fallen angels, locked away in their prison, couldn't trouble the world anymore, but their impact hadn't vanished. Sometimes, on dark nights, people said they could hear whispers carried on the wind, whispers in languages no human could understand. Scholars and adventure seekers began collecting these mysterious objects. They studied markings that seemed to hold secrets from before the flood. These relics hinted at things humans weren't supposed to know, powers that maybe should stay forgotten. The Archangels watched all this closely. They knew how dangerous this curiosity could be. Every time someone got too close to uncovering real Nephilim secrets, they'd find ways to hide the evidence. They remembered too well what happened last time humans got mixed up with powers they couldn't control. But something new was stirring, something nobody saw coming. While everyone focused on old stories about giants, a different kind of trouble was growing. Even heaven didn't notice it at first. The Nephilim might be gone, but their story wasn't over. The things they'd done, the knowledge they'd had, it all left marks on the world. Marks that kept showing up in unexpected ways, leading to new questions and new dangers. As humans dug deeper into these mysteries, they didn't realize they were opening doors better left closed. The stage was set for another battle between good and evil. But this time, it would be fought in a way no one expected. Speaking of angels protecting us from ancient evils, did you know there's one angel who's fought more battles than any other? Remember Michael, the mighty archangel who helped deal with the Nephilim? Well, that was just the beginning of his story. You see, Michael shows up again and again throughout history, fighting the biggest and scariest battles heaven has ever faced. From wrestling with powerful demons to facing Satan himself, Michael's adventures are way more exciting than most people know. Want to know what happened when Michael led heaven's armies? Or why he's called the Prince of Angels? There's this one battle that's so incredible. It changed the fate of both heaven and earth forever. We've put together the whole story of Michael, and trust me, it's nothing like what you learned in Sunday school.